exam is not an easy deal to tackle. So I believe you don't want to go back to write it. You want to make every possible effort to pass it, right? Then join me. Let's look at the tips to passing the exam. First thing I would want to talk about is your timing, because I always say that if you have all the information you want to put on the paper but you fail to finish in time, it is a done deal. Guys, you are going to go back to write it again, because the assessor is not going to know what was in your head, what you knew, what you're going to put on the paper. Do you get me? So work on your timing and always train with the marking criteria. This cuts across all the other stations, okay? So always train with your marking criteria, which I've mentioned in the assessment station, because it is the marking criteria the examiner or the assessor is going to mark you against. So if you miss any of the steps in the marking criteria, then she's definitely going to mark crossover, wrong, that you missed or skipped that step. But then what I didn't say in the assessment station that I'm going to mention here is that if, for example, you missed a step, but then whilst you were on, doing the station, especially the verbalization or talking stations, you can tell the assessor, please, when I did this, I should have done that afterwards, but I forgot to do it. You are allowed to verbalize what you forgot to do at any point in the assessments in any of the stations, provided you are in time. So when you are in time and you forgot to, put on your personal protective equipment after washing your hand, you can go like, assessor, please, I should have put on my personal protective equipment, which is my gloves and my apron, when I finished washing my hands, but I forgot, so I would have done that. Then she can go back and take that you've done it. Okay, that was just by the way. So back to the planning station, your timing. So make sure you finish everything on time, and so work on your speed while you are training or practicing on your own. Always, so the planning station, you have 14 minutes to write down everything. Okay, that will take us to the next tip. So you have 14 minutes. Make sure that you finish everything in that 14 minutes. So whilst you are practicing on your own at home, make sure that you give yourself at least 2 minutes or 4 minutes grace period. I always tell people that I train that time yourself personally while you are training alone, give yourself grace period of between 2 to 5 minutes, so that in the exam, the nervousness and all that, for sure that you are able to finish the planning station in 10 minutes or in 12 minutes. All right, then that takes us to the next thing I want to talk about. Use the SBAR. In the planning station, you are going to tell your assessor, it's mostly about, giving your recommendations, what you are going to do for your patient based on your assessment station. In the assessment, you are going to diagnose your patient. So based on the diagnosis, what are you going to do? You're going to give a plan for the next 4 hours or whatever the scenario tells you to do. You're going to give a plan to that. So what I'll say to this is that make sure that you are able to find out what exactly that diagnosis or your differential diagnosis is, so that you'll be able to give appropriate recommendation. So looking on the marking criteria, some of the red flags that can make you go back in the planning station is if you don't give recommendations that are specifically to the scenario. So let's say, for example, while you were practicing on your own or on the test center's website, the mock scenario there is vaginal bleeding attempt, and so you fixate yourself to the recommendations or the plan for that vaginal bleeding, forgetting that planning for a woman in labor, in active labor or established labor, is different from vaginal bleeding. Plan or recommendations for a patient whose diagnosis is delayed first stage of labor or delayed second stage of labor is absolutely different from each other. So make sure that your planning is pertaining, or let me say your recommendations are tailored to the specific scenario or differential diagnosis you got. All right, so just make sure you are practicing at home and all that. Don't fixate yourself to the scenarios you get at home or during your training. You are a midwife. Think about it. When you read your scenario, you give your differential diagnosis. Make sure that whatever you are doing, management you are giving to your patient in the recommendation aspect of the SBAR is tailored to the patient diagnosis or differential diagnosis. Watch my video on SBAR. I'm going to post it shortly. I'm going to make sure that I record it quickly and then edit and post it for you guys. So we know I'm not going to go into details on SBAR. So the SBAR is just situation, background, assessment, differential diagnosis, and recommendation, which I'm going to make a video on that so that you have a fair idea of what the SBAR is. All right. So make sure that everything you are doing is tailored to the patient's diagnosis or differential diagnosis. And then make sure that your handwriting is eligible. Remember, somebody is going to mark your exam. So if because of examination pressure or you want to, finish in time, you write stuff that the examiner or the assessor cannot read, how do you expect her to mark you? She's going to mark you down and say your handwriting is not legible. It is a red flag. So if you're not able to write legibly for the assessor or the examiner to read exactly what you have done, then it's most likely it can get you go back to write it. And then let's say, for example, we are all humans and we make mistakes, we make errors. So if you are writing a statement and you realize that, oh, okay, this statement or word that I've written is wrong, so I want to cancel it and write the correct word, all you have to do is please just rule a straight line in the middle of that word or statement so that whoever takes that document will know that, okay, she wrote this, but it was an error, so she has ruled it out. Do not shade what you've written. Make sure that whatever you've written and cancelled, somebody else can see what you've written. So you rule out a straight line in the middle of the statement or word you want to cancel, and then you sign on top of it. Okay, so after you've cancelled it, sign on top of it. Okay, and then write the correct one. And then the last thing to say is use the SBAR. The last but one, use the SBAR, the situation, background, assessment, recommendation. All right, watch that video and you get exactly what the SBAR is about. And after you've written everything and you are done, make sure you sign. Write your name, sign, and date it. Because if you write everything and your planning was perfect, but then you fail to sign, you fail to write your name or date it, that is a serious red flag. You are going to go back to write again. So make sure you remember these tips and then write them. Okay, I hope this video helps you to pass your planning station in the Midwifery OSCE Talk 2021 test of competence. All right, and I wish you all the best. To all my candidates that recently passed and have passed years ago, I wish you all the best in your new role as an internationally registered midwife in the United Kingdom. I believe and I know that you guys are going to do great taking care of your patients and working with the team. Lovely. And if you are yet to write your exam, I wish you success. I wish you all the best. If you need support, if you need training for your midwifery OSCE exam, get in touch. Join my Telegram channel and page. The links are in the description section below, and hit a message there. I'll get in touch with you and we will take you from there. God bless you. I bet you getting training from me is the best you can ever have. So get in touch. You can, if you want to reach out to me through email as well. My email address is in the description section below. Don't forget to join me, my community on all other social media handles, and it will be great. Until we meet again in my next video, it is take care of yourself and bye.